Hey, this isn't about the Lego movie.
This is about parallel universes and the possibility of life on other planets.
If you have ever played Destiny.
Yes.
If you have ever, I realize it literally came out like 6 days ago, I think. 6 or 7 days ago, I think it was.
Didn't it come
I
out
think
Monday?
It came out on the 7th.
I think it came out on Monday. No, it came out on the 8th.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
So it's Tuesday.
Go.
Tuesday.
Well, it came out, if you've ever played that and get into the story, you can follow along with the way the story goes, and you can kind of compare that to what would be a parallel universe in a different time. Because this time period is a prediction of what it would be like thousands and thousands of years from now, when humanity is so advanced that
You can be a robot.
when you're
Yeah.
like you basically wiped out your home planet of its natural resources and everything.
No,
which
that
we
was
all
the
seen
darkness.
coming.
What's the darkness?
The darkness is not realistic. The resources and everything that wiped out your own planet. A parallel universe, you can also it's just comparing it to different time periods. It could be the same thing in a different time period. So say there's another universe where just now America is gaining independence, or just now a white person saw an African for the first time and they're talking over a campfire going oof oof ugh ugh swing swing, what's that, a rock? I don't know. But you don't know if there's just like other times.
I understand what you're saying.
Oh,
Planet of the Apes.
That
Probably one
was
of
a
the
good
best
one.
examples of what you're saying. The guy starts out in our world, goes through the wormhole or whatever he goes through, ends up crashing on Earth in a totally another time. And that's when the apes rule the human. It's a different time period, but technically it's a universe separate than ours.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or literally the wormhole just did this. U-turn. And he just went in there, spent thousands of years in this wormhole, and just shot back out into Earth.
What do you think it'd be like to live, like if you could go back time? Where would you go? Any point in time? Would you go would you go 100,000 years to the future, or would you go 10 years back, or?
I think I'd be too afraid to time travel that far. I'd
What?
go a few years at a time, but I don't want to go like thousands of years ahead and then pop back up, look down, and there's a pit of lava or nothing underneath me. Like Earth was destroyed, and I'm like,
Out in space.
dead. Game
Out in
over.
space, just
Because you don't have time to react and push a button or anything. Your eyes just popped out of your head and you're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my personality, me going back in the past,
sucked.
I'd be shot on the spot.
Witch!
They'd be like,
It's a witch. Does it float? Then it's a witch.
Go
You
back
like
in
to
time
see
and
it.
become like one of the great philosophers.
yeah, I mean, me,
Dawson.
that's what I would
The
do.
great philosopher.
I'd
You
go
could-
back to Greek period,
You would be
and
s-
Socrates had nothing on me. Socrates
I was
would be
just-
like, dude, this guy...
raised to you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you were Socrates. You're
Why
gonna
do you
die
know
because
smell
you
like
lose.
butt? I smell like butt. Where you get smell good stuff?
You can bring you can make the Pythagorean theorem, you can make all
You can
these
be.
different
You
stuff.
they would literally idolize you as the smartest human being in the world, and it would set humanity. If someone from this time period could go back with the information that long ago,
And then you
it
go
would
back to
set
same-
humanity so far
Yeah.
ahead of where we are right now.
Yeah, if you went back to Greek times and then you did that, and then you go back to the same amount of time where you first were, it would be like 100,000 years,
jump,
or
yeah.
not 100,000, but like 10,000 years into the future, what we would have been right now if you didn't do it.
Well, then again, that was only like, what was that?
Greeks are BC.
39,
So
say
probably
39
at
BC.
max, they
We'd
were
be
about
like-
3,000 years ago. At
Okay,
max.
so we get about
30,000
3,000 years of
yeah.
extra technology. So
So you would
we have
you
cures
choose
to
go
cancer in
back.
our back pocket.
Okay, but then you have another issue there. Our brains from the Greek period to now. Okay, our
Advanced.
brains have evolved differently within 3,000 years. Most scientists think, oh yeah, evolution took 20,000 years. No, It doesn't. Our brains back in the Greek period were of a, no, we weren't
We
stupid.
were more barbaric.
Yeah.
Either that or we could look at it from a societal point of view. We were, okay, so that's what the big guy says. Well, listen.
Okay, he says that.
He's bigger than me. I don't want to
Yeah, I like how he says that. He's like, the big guy said this.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
but I
the
mean-
big guy.
And then our society went, okay, now we don't like the big guy.
Stick to the man.
So our brains,
It's called rock and roll.
stick it to the man.
It was called rock and roll.
So now our brains have evolved to become independent, and that took about 2,000 years. And then the Dark Ages happened, and we're like, 1/3 of the population is now dead.
I'm on my friend's dead body.
Well.
And then we kind of went right back to that big guy, because the big guy said, okay, this is how we're gonna fix it. So then we're like, the big guy said it again.
Shiny.
The big guy said this. I mean, I okay.
Time out. Parallel universes.
Well, I mean, this is kind of explaining it.
The podcast can preach all the other
Can
stuff.
move.
You can't just stay in one place. That's no fun.
But then we hit the Western periods, cowboys, Indians, the whole 9 yards. Then we're sitting here like, well, I don't like the big guy. I don't like being independent. Let's form groups.
Religion.
I'm Christian.
And then this guy over here is like, I'm Catholic. I have
Dude,
this.
I'm atheist.
Well, back then you weren't allowed to be atheist.
Well, crap.
But I mean, you see what I'm saying
I'm
here?
a Quaker.
And then you hit this time period.
What was that? That was like Pennsylvania.
Oatmeal.
Yeah. But then you hit this time period, and this time period sitting here like,
So if you brought something from this age back then, they wouldn't understand it basically.
they wouldn't understand it, nor would anybody.
They call you stupid for bringing this here.
Makes you kind of wonder. All these philosophers, I mean, out of nowhere,